The sound came first. Paper doesn't scream when it's torn. It exhales, a dry, final breath. I watched my name split down the middle, ink severed like veins. The check fluttered in his hands, government blue, my lifeline, before it fell apart between his fingers. He did it slowly, deliberately, like a lesson. "Real men work," my wife's father said, loud enough for the room, "not live off handouts." Laughter didn't come. That would have been too honest. Instead, there was the sound of chairs shifting. Someone coughed. My wife stared at the floor like it had suddenly offended her. The pieces hit my chest. I didn't flinch. I couldn't. My body doesn't obey panic anymore. It locks up, goes quiet, like a building after an evacuation. Years of pain will teach you restraint, if nothing else. I bent down to pick up the scraps. That's when I noticed the door was still open. The postman hadn't left. He stood frozen on the porch, envelope bag slung over one shoulder, eyes fixed on the floor littered with torn federal paper. He cleared his throat. Soft, professional, unavoidable. "That's a federal crime," he said. Silence fell like a held breath. I stayed on my knees, staring at my name in pieces, thinking how strange it was that justice sometimes shows up wearing blue shorts in a sun-faded cap. This wasn't the first time my wife said nothing. Silence had become her native language. When the accident took my spine out of commission, she learned it fluently. When the doctors said permanent, she mastered it. When her father started calling me dead weight, she conjugated it perfectly. I used to think loyalty was loud, defiant. I was wrong. Loyalty is interruption, and she never interrupted him. As he stood there now, red-faced and righteous, something finally clicked into place. Not the check, not the crime, the pattern. Her father had always hated me, but only after I stopped being useful. Funny how love requires productivity. And my wife? She'd been preparing her exit long before today. I saw it in the way she avoided my eyes, in the way she'd started working late, in the phone she kept face down. She told me she was tired. She wasn't lying. She was just tired of me. The realization didn't hurt the way I expected. It settled, heavy, calm, like a verdict I'd been waiting on without knowing it. This wasn't about money. It was about erasure. And watching her let him do it, watching her let him tear me into pieces in front of people who used to call me family, that was the real betrayal. The check was just paper. Her silence was the weapon. I didn't confront her. I smiled, thanked the postman, apologized for the misunderstanding. Control is easier when people underestimate you. I let them. Over the next few weeks, I listened more than I spoke. Pain teaches patience. So does being dismissed. I noticed patterns where others saw routine. She showered longer, guarded her phone like a secret, started mentioning a coworker's name too casually. I ran numbers in my head the way I used to run machines. Dates, deposits, call logs. I requested copies of our joint accounts, quietly, pulled phone records under the guise of billing errors. I didn't need much. Truth leaves residue. The messages weren't romantic. They didn't need to be. They were logistical, efficient. Two adults coordinating deception like a project plan. I took screenshots, saved them to a drive labeled medical. She never looked there. Externally, I was compliant, grateful, broken. Internally, I was assembling the map. People assume disability dulls you. It sharpens everything. Every movement costs something. Every choice becomes intentional. Revenge, I learned, is just intention without mercy. I waited until her father hosted another dinner. Same table, same chairs, same audience. I placed a folder beside my plate, neat, labeled. When dessert arrived, I slid it across the table to her. "Open it," I said. She laughed, nervous, performed. Then she saw the screenshots. Color drained from her face in stages. Shock, recognition, fear. Her father leaned in, confused. She pulled the folder away from him. "I know," I said, calm, even. I've known since before the check. She tried to speak, failed. I didn't raise my voice. You didn't say anything, I continued. Neither did I. The symmetry felt clean. I stood slowly. Pain flared. I welcomed it. I filed a report, I said, looking at her father now, about the check. His mouth opened, closed, and I updated my beneficiary, I added, yesterday. The room tilted. I don't need revenge, I finished. I just needed the truth to be public. I walked out before anyone could stop me. Outside, the air felt lighter. I didn't look back. Some losses don't break you, they free you. I left the pieces of my old life on the floor where they'd thrown them, and I never picked them up again. I wanted the truth to arrive without my fingerprints on it. One evening, she mentioned the apartment again, said maybe we should make an offer soon. I nodded, asked questions, played interested. Inside, the storm aligned itself. The report arrived on a Tuesday. I read it once, then again. Affair, 18 months. Property access logs, security footage, timestamps, hotel receipts folded neatly into a digital spine. I printed nothing. Paper makes things feel emotional. That night, I set the table carefully. 2 plates, wine she liked, candles she'd once accused me of forgetting. She noticed, smiled. Relief flickered. I waited until dessert. "Do you want the apartment?" I asked. She hesitated, just a beat. "Yes." I slid my phone across the table, not aggressively, like a gift. The video thumbnail was unmistakable, her face drained, words gathered and collapsed behind her teeth. "I know," I said softly. "I've always known. Spanish isn't empty, it's heavy, it presses down." She cried, apologized, reached for my hand. I pulled back. "I helped him sell it," I continued, "below market value." Her head snapped up. "I signed the papers this morning. He leaves Friday." Her mouth opened, closed. "He thought you'd follow." He was wrong. I stood, collected the plates, rinsed them slowly. The sound of water filled the room like a verdict. "You used my ignorance as shelter," I said, so I removed it. She begged, promised, swore it meant nothing. I turned, finally letting her see my face. Nothing doesn't last 18 months. I packed a bag. Not dramatic, just enough. At the door, I paused. "He said, 'I never suspected,'" I added. He was right. I left her with the echo. The apartment sold quickly. I moved into a smaller place across town, learned new routes, new routines. The city felt sharper without her name attached to it. Sometimes I hear Spanish in cafes. It doesn't hurt. It reminds me to listen. She still texts. Apologies decay faster than lies. I don't respond. Control isn't about winning. It's about clarity. And clarity, once achieved, doesn't ask permission to stay. I don't miss her. I miss who I was before I learned how quietly people betray. Now I understand everything.